So this is a new question coming from LeetCode. The problem number 907. Problem name is sum of subarray minimums. This is a medium problem, more than 5,900 upwards. I believe sometimes it has been asked in interviews because, to be very honest, it is marked as medium. But if given in an interview, it might look like a hard problem. It has been asked in Google and Uber as well, right? So the problem says that you have been given an array of integers. You need to find the sum of minimum of b, where b ranges over every contiguous subarray of ARR. So what do you need to do? You need to calculate minimum of all the possible subarrays of the given array and then sum up all the possible minimums. The answer may be quite large, so you need to return 10 raised per 9 plus 7. So this is the given array 3, 1, 2, 4. If you consider all possible subarrays are contiguous cross section of the arrays, right? So just single elements are also subarrays. So in this subarray, the minimum is 3. In this subarray, the minimum is 1. In this subarray, the minimum is 2. In this subarray, the minimum is 4. So in all the one length subarrays, of course, the element will be minimum themselves. Now, in this two length array, subarray, 1 is the minimum. In 1, 2, 1 is the minimum. 2, 4, 2 is the minimum. Then 3 length array, 3, 1, 2, 1 is the minimum. 1, 2, 4, 1 is the minimum. And then in 3, 1, 2, 4, 1 is the minimum. These are all the possible minimums from all the possible subarrays, and the sum is 17. The given length is 3 to 10 raised per 4. You can assume that we have to solve with respect to the fact that maybe we can even get something around 10 raised per 5. That is something that we will also try to target. So this is the problem in front of you, and let's see how we can actually solve the problem.
So before moving forward in the video, I would like to tell you about the brand new offering of Algocamp, which is the Lambda 5.0 course. So this is the 5th iteration of the flagship advanced backend development course with Node.js, but this time it's bigger and better. This time Algocamp has introduced a lot of new projects. The whole ecosystem is going to be more AI powered. There are projects including Lovable Clone, your own AI fitness tracker, own AI interview planner and interview prep, I would say, tool. There is some deep engineering concepts around distributed transaction, using which you're going to make a payment system or a payment wallet system altogether. There's going to be a workflow manager project. You're going to try to understand how exactly you can use the concepts of, let's say, CDC in order to implement different projects. A lot of deep technical projects and deep technical understanding you are going to get. This particular course is going to focus on making sure that you understand the system architectures and deep system concept that a lot of senior engineers are always involved with, and try to make projects on top of that. You are going to see actual scaling strategies, replication strategies, how you can make sure that your system is fault tolerant, and concepts around, let's say, Kafka, concept around Redis and whatnot. There is so many different projects that are actually added, including a WhatsApp system, something like a Netflix-like system, a Twitch-like system, a lot of AI-powered tools. We are going to actually make something like Lovable Clone and whatnot. Do check out the link in the description section below. Get the idea about all the projects that you are going to get and build. This is something that will take you from an absolutely beginner level backend developer to a very advanced level backend engineer altogether. We have received such great testimonies from the last set of batches, and people are actually loving what we have already built, but this time we have made sure that this is bigger and better. So do check out the link in the description section below and use this coupon code to get massive discounts on the current price. And now let's go back to the video.
So let's say that we have been given an array like this. Now we know that the length of the array can be n, and we are going to assume that n can be as big as 10 raised per 5 also. We need to find a solution which is even able to capable of solving that. Now the thing is, what can be the brute force solution? The brute force solution will be to calculate all possible subarrays. The brute force solution says that try to calculate all possible subarrays. Once you have all possible subarrays, then you can try to find the minimum element out of it. Once you have the minimum element, then you can sum up all the possible minimum elements that you got, and that will be your answer. But the problem here is the time complexity will be order of n square, because calculating all possible subarrays is order of n square. So you don't even need to go to the coding implementation in order to figure out that this can be time limit exceeded. We need to think a bit out of the box. So in cases like these, where one one thing that is for sure is that if you consider any element like one, now one can be subarray, like one can be the minimum of multiple subarrays, right? One is the minimum of 3 comma 1 also, one is the minimum of just one also, 6 comma 1 also, 1 comma 6 comma 2 also, 1 comma 6 comma 2 comma 9 also, 4 comma 3 comma 1 also. Like this one is going to contribute to multiple elements, or I would say multiple subarrays, to become the minimum. This observation we can write: one single element can be minimum of multiple subarrays. If that is the case, if you can be minimum of multiple subarrays, then technically in these kind of situations when one possibility can actually lead to multiple things, what you can do is, instead of figuring out every possible subarrays and then calculating the minimum, how about you figure out for how many subarrays one will be the minimum. If we can figure out this particular value, that for how many subarrays 1 will be the minimum, for how many subarrays 6 will be the minimum, how many subarrays 2 will be the minimum, 3 will be the minimum, then we can just add up all of those values. Can I say that? Now, if you have something like 1, 4, 3, 1, 6, 2, 9, and you have to figure out that for any particular element, how many subarrays are there such that 1 is going to be the minimum of them. Now, one thing we can say that for any element x to be the minimum, we need to make sure all other elements are greater, right? Like whatever elements we are going to consider along with x, they should be always greater than x. Now just think about it. If for a particular element, if on the right hand side, if I can find, let's modify the array a bit. Let's make it a bit 0, for example. Let's make it 0. Okay. So let's say, and let's make it -1. So on the right hand side, if we can try to figure out the first element which is lesser than x. So on the right hand side, we find first element index less than x. And this is our x, and this is index of x. Okay, ix is index of x. If we try to figure out this value, and on the left hand side, we try to figure out first element index less than x, right? If let's say we got these two indexes, let's say this index is k, this index is j, then one thing is that if this index is I or ix, then if you consider any index in the range j plus 1 to ix, right? If you consider this particular range, which is technically j plus 1 to ix, both inclusive, and you consider this particular range, that is ix to k minus 1, then can I say that if you pick an index, and let's say this range is r1, this range is r2, okay? If you pick any element in the range r1 and you pick any element in the range r2, so for example, we picked an element ar1, this is some index ar1, and this is some index ar2. What is ar1? ar1 is an element inside this range, and ar2 is an element inside this range. Can I say, if you will prepare a subarray from ar1 to ar2, in that particular subarray, the minimum value will be arr of I. Can I say that? And why is that true? Why is that true? Because at index j, we have got the first element to the left of I, which is lesser than I. That means everything from j plus 1 to ix is greater than ix, element at ix, and everything from ix to k minus 1 is also greater than or equal to ix. Can I say that? That means if you get a starting index from this highlighted region, that is R1, this range is what? R1, right? If you get a starting index here and then you get an ending index here, that is R2. You get starting index from R1, you get starting and ending index at R2. So if you keep a starting index here and let's say ending index here, then this can be one subarray. Or you keep starting index here, ending index here, this can be another subarray. Or this can be starting index, this can be the ending index, another subarray. Starting index, ending index, another subarray. Starting, ending, another subarray. Starting, ending, another subarray. So if you keep the starting index in the range R1 and ending index in the range R2, then you will be able to figure out a subarray every time whose minimum will be always A of Ix. Now all you have to do is, if we can calculate how many subarrays we can form such that the starting comes from R1 and the ending comes from R2, then in all of those subarrays, 1 is the minimum. So what will be the count? If this range is R1, this range is R2, right? How many elements are these? How many elements are these? If let's say this is index 0, 1, 2, 3, this is technically what? 3 minus 0, right? If let's say this would have been minus 1, then this would have been what? 3 minus 1, that is 2. So 2 elements, right? So can I say Ix minus j, right? This is number of possible starting points. And how many possible ending points? Let's see. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? So if you do 5 minus 3, that's 2. So this is k minus ix. These are the number of starting points. These are the number of ending points. So how many total subarrays we can make? We have to choose any one of the point from this range and then any one of the point from this range. So if we will multiply these two ranges, can I say this will give us number of subarrays having ARR of IX as minimum. So we will get count of subarrays where ARR of IX is minimum. Once you got the count of subarray where ARR of IX is minimum, what will be the contribution of ARR of IX in the total sum? The contribution will be ARR of IX multiplied by this, right? For example, let's see. This is 1, right? How many elements are there? 3. How many elements are there? 2. So total possible subarrays are 6. In 6 subarrays, the minimum is 1. So what is the contribution of 1? 6 into 1, that is 6. So this one is going to contribute 6 to the final answer. And we have to do this activity for every possible element. So all you have to do is, for the given array, first go and calculate next smaller element, then go and calculate previous smaller element, right? So for every index you will be having the next smaller element index k and previous smaller element index j. What will be your contribution? Your contribution is going to be ARR of I multiplied by k minus I multiplied by I minus j. And you have to do this for every single element. The time complexity of this approach is going to be order of n. Space complexity of the approach is going to be order of. That's how you can actually solve the problem of calculating sum of subarray minimums.